And welcome back, folks. Connecting Dots here. We are Sunday, May 1st, 2016, and I'm making another Fukushima video here because, you know, I'm back here at Connecting Dots 2, and it seems that the videos I've made in the last couple of days on Fukushima have really stirred up, the fraudsters and a lot of their supporters. And like I said, folks, in that last video, if you're someone who's woken up to the fraud, please don't be harsh on those that are still underneath that spell, because at some point they will realize that they've been fooled also, just like many of you were fooled by it because you don't live near the ocean. You're not listening to a fellow like myself who's really connecting the dots on the entire picture and making sense of it all. Instead, you're listening to somebody who's absolutely lying about the condition of the Pacific Ocean, more precisely, how he's lying about the West Coast. I live right here on the West Coast, and he's saying to everyone that these nursery beds are all wiped out. There are, according to him, 5,500 marine species that have vanished from the West Coast nursery banks, which is, we're talking about the Pacific Ocean here. This thing is not dead. It is not dying. It just, go watch the video, okay? I talk about the baby boom in the orca, the endangered pod on top of that, and the endangered pod specifically had a baby boom in 2015. That's right, it's not dying. So especially orcas, they have a big appetite. So you're not having a baby boom in orcas because there's a lack of fish in the ocean. Heck no. So long story short here, I'm going to be back. I'm back on the saddle. I'm going to be back dealing with the fraudsters. I'll never stop that. Someone said in one of the comments in this video, keep running away. I'm not running away. I've been here since 2009, guy. What you talking about running away? The only people that run away is everyone else that makes videos about me, how they won't even talk about, they won't even call me out by my real name. They won't say YouTuber Connecting Dots 2. They'll say that Dots guy or that concocting dots. Never, never have the man equipment to actually call me by my YouTube name, nor do they actually show my YouTube channel, nor will they actually show the video where I'm calling them out on something. I'm not running away. Trust me. They are running away. That's why they gotta send in you shills to come in here, and I'm not calling everyone that's fallen underneath that spell shills, but there's some of you. When I go look at your channels, I can see it's just another fake channel promoting all the fraudsters on YouTube. What a coincidence. Empty channels that happen to promote all the fraudsters. So it's very easy to identify you folks. You can go open up as many fake channels as you want. The fact is, I'm not running away. I will continue making these videos. And here we go again with more Fukushima news. So I'll leave the link here, or actually you can go right to my Connecting Dots 2 YouTube channel. And if you want to watch these videos, I highly recommend, especially the one on the whales. This is going to make so much sense to you, that those of you that have fallen underneath this Fukushima spell, how the radiation in the Pacific Ocean is so strong that it's killing whales, mass deaths. You may have heard of that one there, mass death of whales. They all washed up. I make sense of it. If a large mammal is being hit with such high levels of radiation in the Pacific Ocean, then trust you me, every single smaller mammal underneath it is devastated. It's killed. If the Pacific Ocean's dead, therefore the seafood should be skyrocketing. We should have tons of stories in the news how every fisherman out there on the West Coast, or anywhere in the Pacific for that matter, cannot get any fish because they're all dead. Yeah, so anyways, go find out. In the end, you'll find out that it was actually the US Navy admitted that they're going to do a 5-year exercise, and they're going to be killing thousands. They said thousands. It's more like millions of sea creatures, okay, with these sonar blasts. And I make the connection between the sei whale, the mass uh, beaching of sei whales, more specifically in southern Pacific here this past winter, off the coast of Chile. And these whales are all deep water whales. Are you going to tell me the entire pod was there's about 100 or 300 of them? I can't remember the exact numbers, but there's a large number of them that all mass beached here. Are you going to tell me that they all hit a mass pool of highly radioactive water and they all died, the entire pod, at the same time? Someone says, no, we never said that. We said they starved. Oh, I see. So now the entire pod starved exactly at the same time near the same date, and that's why they all washed up on the same shoreline. Come on, give me a break. Give me a break. The fact that we have the Army and Navy admitting that they're going to be launching these massive sonar blasts, and the blast is what? To detect submarines, to knock out submarine power. So, yes, they are testing new equipment. They said they're going to be killing thousands. If they say thousands, you might as well add it on more like hundreds of thousands, if not millions. I make sense of it here. Go watch the video. It's really going to inform you, just like this video here. So the latest story here is coming out of Japan. Um, you may have heard of this wall leak. If not, I'm sorry about the ice wall. If not, don't worry. I'll get into that very, very briefly to give you an idea if you haven't heard of it. Essentially, what they're saying is the chief architect is actually saying that the plant's ice wall won't be watertight. Well, I don't think that's a big surprise here. So this is a most recent story, not the ice wall itself. Actually, it's been around for quite a while, but we'll get into that in a second here. Um, Chief architect for Fukushima ice wall, it is not watertight, he says. Japanese officials activated a portion of a mile-long ice wall built around the Fukushima Daiichi plant several weeks ago. It was actually started a long time ago in an effort to stop groundwater from reaching the reactors. For the past 5 years, that's why I said that this has been started quite a long time ago. The past 5 years, ever since that March day in 2011 when disaster hit the plant here, groundwater has been seeping underneath the plants, and essentially the water becomes irradiated before it seeps back out into the ocean. However, Tokyo TEPCO has been storing that contaminated water in huge storage tanks, and I'll show you that in a second here. And then so far there are over 1,000 of these tanks covering the grounds at the power plant, and more are being built here. And now the ice wall itself here, that was a $312 million ice wall, and it was completed last month, and a portion of the mile-long structure was activated on April 4th, with the rest of the structure to be activated over the next few months. But Huichi Hokamara, the chief architect of the massive project, says the ice wall will not block all the groundwater from reaching the damaged reactors. Once the wall is fully operational, it'll require as much electricity as 13,000 homes. So there's the structures there in the background that are continuously being built to store all the contaminated water that is still being sucked out of these plants here, because there's still some water leaking in. I'll get into that in a second here. Let me just take a quick sip of coffee. Okay, here we go. We're back at it here. So it's not zero, Okamura said in an interview with the Associated Press last week. He pointed out that even if the ice wall works as it was envisioned to work, it still won't stop all the water from reaching the damaged reactors because of the gaps in the wall and the rainfall, creating as much as 50 tons of contaminated water each day. Imagine that's when it's raining, you're beginning as much as 50 tons. Other than that, the point is it can't stop everything. There's always going to be some of it. The only good news, like I said, they got those pumps in there, and I'll get into that in a second here. But Okamura is also the general manager at TEPCO. He said that workers have they have rigged pipes that spray water continuously on the reactors to keep them from overheating. He says, of course, the major headache has been what to do with all the contaminated water. It builds up and starts seeping out. This is why the only problem TEPCO is. This is why the containment tanks were used, and now the whole facility is packed with tanks of contaminated water. And if you remember, at one point I shared with you, I think it was in 2014, how they were actually considering about dumping the water back into the ocean. Do you recall? If not, well, I actually tried to start a petition. Now, you think if those kinds of petitions would go well on YouTube, right? A guy on YouTube is trying to start a petition so we can contact TEPCO and get them to try and force them to stop. I can't. I could hardly get 200 signatures, honestly. I've decided now, I think it's just best to make the videos, and that way there, well, hopefully at some point people will all join together and do the right thing. Anyways, he says, and more of these tanks are needed. It's a vicious cycle, like a cat and mouse game. Said regarding these water-related issues, we have come up against many unexpected problems. Water is not is not sorry, it's not the only problem TEPCO is facing. It'll take over 40 years to dismantle the Fukushima Daiichi plant, and no one has ever seen the nuclear debris in the plant itself. Why? Because it is so radioactive that a human cannot come near it. TEPCO engineers say they are developing robots to go inside the reactor rooms to send back pictures of the debris, but as was reported last month, the robots sent inside the plant have so far all died because of the high levels of radiation. That's right. This is the high levels inside the plant. Do you folks get that? In fact, this is not a new story. This was reported way back then. They've had robots dying inside those plants since this whole fiasco took place. Okay, the only difference is now they're actually trying to get in further. They have yet to actually get in all the way. And if you watch one of my videos a little while back in 2014, 2013, I think it was, I showed how they come up with some new little robot. It looked like basically the size of a shoe here. It looked like a little rat. Well, it seems like even it is being hit. So they're going to have to come up with a new type of robot, and obviously it's all going to be about the shielding. This is what this is all about here. So even if TEPCO can determine what and how much radioactive debris is left inside the reactor rooms, how will they manage its removal? That's the problem. They have to come up with some new robots, and I'll get into that story because that's also what's taking place in the Olympics here. They're actually they're having a new contest. Then was robotics. I think they know what's up here, and they're trying to get the younger generation involved in this robotics, get some creative thinking. So, considered high level radioactive waste, it'll require special precautions by humans, including remote handling and use of shielding. That's what I was saying here. They're going to have to shield themselves like you would not believe. Added to this is the fact that water is still being used to keep the reactors from overheating and causing an even bigger disaster than what already they're dealing with right now. The ice wall has its detractors right from the start. Shiagi Nutsuyama, an honorary professor and former president of the University of Aizu in Fukushima, says building a concrete wall into the hill near the plant right after the disaster would have minimized the groundwater problem. He added that because of the prevalence of groundwater at Fukushima, the reduced amount of 50 tons of water a day still amounts to what came out of the 3 Mile Island totals in just 8 months. Even though TEPCO says the groundwater problem will be solved by 2020, the Olympics, Tsuneyama said in a telephone interview the groundwater coming up from below can never become zero. There is no perfect answer. Yeah, they're in a whole lot of, well, not hot water. I guess it's radioactive water, right? So, yeah, if you're not aware of what was going on here, essentially, all around of these four reactors, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, they were drilling these massive holes here and installing these, they were like rods to freeze the ground. They were spaced about a meter apart. As you saw in that last picture, their plan was, and they have completed now, was to go around the entire plant and try and stop water from reaching the reactors, right? They still have to pour water on the reactors to keep them, or on the meltdown at this point. They have to keep that fissioning to an absolute zero, and the only way they can do it is to continuously pour water on it. However, they don't want more water adding to the whole recipe, right, to the disaster. So that's what the plan is behind the entire wall, was to first let's try to keep the water that's naturally occurring around the plant from entering these reactors, and in the meantime, we'll keep pouring the water on it until we actually get this dealt with. Which, according to TEPCO's plans, and I've said that from the very beginning, they said 35 to 45 years to contain this. Well, I'm not sure how long it's going to take, but it's like I said, they've even admitted themselves that they have yet to invent the robots that are needed to deal with this fiasco. They've got a real, this is a major disaster that is years, decades before it is absolutely contained. If that's even if they can contain it, I don't think they can. They are such in a massive situation here with the fact that the location specifically about this plant, where it's located, so close to the ocean, the terrain itself. I don't know if you listen to garbage that comes out of that Dana Durnford. He was saying, they went and dug a bunch of big holes in there and then filled up the holes with topsoil, and that's absolutely hogwash. This entire thing is on stone here. It's all on stone. There was no digging of holes, but they're going to have to dig holes now that he's speaking about, because now they absolutely have to get underneath the plants here. I believe in reactor 4 here, and possibly one, they're going to have a lot of major problems here. Like I said, they don't even know where the leaks, a lot of it is, the fuel is sitting at this point here, not the spent fuel pool on top of the reactors themselves. I'm talking with the fuel that was in the reactors 1, 2, and 3 here. That's the situation that they have. So their initial plan here was to try and block out these 400 tons, and we've had different numbers over the years here. We've had anywhere from 800 tons to 400 tons. Regardless, there is a problem with the groundwater that was leaking underneath the plants, and with the water, radioactive water itself, leaking out of the plants. Because, like I said, they have to continuously add cold water here to these cores to try and keep them from the fissioning. They have to try and stop the fissioning, and the only way they can do that is continuously pour water onto it and continuously run these sub drains here, so they can pump that water back out and put the water back in these waste tanks. So that's what he said. It's a vicious cycle what they have to do here. So their number one objective was to try and at least mitigate how much water, groundwater, was reaching the plants. But like he said, it's not. They can't bring it to zero here. Okay, this is going to be an ongoing problem. There's no doubt about that. That's why I get a kick out of people saying here that I say that nuclear radiation is not dangerous. What was it? I get all kinds of comments. I'm like, where exactly did I say that? Because I think I'm being pretty clear here on my observations and how I feel, my sentiment about it all. As far as even like the radiation, radioactive water here pouring into the Pacific Ocean. That's why I've started this whole thread, so I could keep track. In fact, it's on the forum here. If anybody wants to watch this stuff, all you have to do is enter the word Olympic. That simple word will bring you to this thread. That's why all the words are in pink here. Okay, I have the search bar up here. So if any term that I speak about, you can come find it here on the forum. This is kind of like my library, because I've had my YouTube channels taken down here, Connecting Dots 1, in 2012, after I made so many hundreds of videos on Fukushima. Um, I felt at that point, or even before that, that it was important to have a YouTube channel, and this is why I opened up the Connecting Dots 1, and I started, building a library of information. So you just enter the search bar any term you want here, and if you enter the Olympic one, you'll soon find that in that thread, I was starting to keep track of the high levels of radiation that were found in fish that were just caught off the shores of the Fukushima nuclear plant. In fact, I said in last night's video or the day before, these fish were just caught 20 kilometers to the north of the plant. And this is from August 12th of 2012, August 2nd, sorry, from August 12th, 2012. And those fish were 258 times above the limit. And you could just notice a little, go down a little bit lower. And the next one is from January 2013 here, and the next levels, well, they're 2,500 times above the limit. Yes, loaded with cesium. That's the only one they're checking. I've said that before. When you have a nuclear meltdown, cesium is there's a large concentration of it, is one of the easiest radioactive particles for them to read, or radioactive isotopes. So they go after the cesium, but when you have cesium, or I should say when a meltdown specifically of a nuclear plant, there are hundreds of other radioactive particles that are much more harmful than cesium. In fact, most of the ones that you'll read in the news where they speak about cesium or iodine, they happen to be the least harmful ones to humans. Isn't that a coincidence? So you're always getting the data based on upon the least harmful ones. So if they're out, if they put out numbers of um, let's say strontium 90, then we probably get a bigger shakeup, I think. That's my perspective on this here. This is why I think it's done on purpose. So again, here, February 28th, another reading, this time 5,000 times above the legal limit. Now, what's interesting about all of this is soon after the Fukushima nuclear plant meltdown, Japan raised the acceptable levels. That's right. They raised the acceptable levels of radiation that a person can have consumed. So, it's 5,000 times now, but I wonder just how much it was compared to the previous levels. I always get a kick of that. I've been getting a kick out of this whole Fukushima meltdown because even here in Canada and US, what was non acceptable just pre Fukushima, suddenly now they're willing to accept the levels, and raise the bar. Oh, it's all right. Now you can get that much radiation now before it becomes dangerous and harmful. I'm like, really? Unbelievable. So, like I said, I'm tracking these stories. So if you want to go read them and stay updated, or if you want to add to them, the forum is free to join. And like I was saying, in the Olympics here in 2020 is um, they're going to have. They're going to stage a robot Olympics along with the 2020 Summer Olympic Games. And I believe this has to do with, well, I've been speaking about over at Silver Goman about the future of global economies and the baby boomer bubble bust. I'm not sure, you're probably not aware of that term, but as a term I started sharing back in summer of 2015 when I was predicting the stock market crash that spring. And when I was making those hangouts, I was speaking about how one of the biggest threats, I think, to future generations as far as wealth is the fact that robotics is no doubt going to be taking more and more jobs out of that piece of pie, right? There's only so many jobs out there, and the piece of pie is getting smaller for humans. It's getting bigger for the robot size. And I know when I speak to people all the time, they keep saying, no, 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 I would never. Because I happen to mention one here, how they actually came out with a robotic barista. She remembers your face. She remembers exactly how much sugar you like, how much cream do you like, the mocha latte, do you like the espresso. She remembers everything. She never makes a mistake, this damn robot barista. And I'm not promoting robots, by the way. I'm simply sharing with you my opinion on what I believe is coming down the pipes here and why Japan is, killing two birds with one stone, essentially, because not only will they be advancing the whole robotic sector for their own personal industry, but it's, and, helping that generation curve, that educational curve towards a certain sector that they believe will be more predominant in the future. But it'll also help, um, hopefully, hopefully invent robots that will help alleviate or deal with specifically the Fukushima meltdown and all the obstacles that they have coming towards them. So I think it's killing two birds with one stone here essentially. Let's have the Summer Olympics. Let's make them a little more interesting, and we're going to have some everyone put their technical skills, and see what they can come up with. Anyhow, so I just want to share this information. If you're interested, like I said, it's over at connectingdots1.com. The forum is free to join. I have to manually approve everyone's membership here, so you'll have to give me, roughly 12 hours, 24 hours to approve your membership. It's not done automatically. There's just too many spammers, and I have to, alleviate that problem. Okay, so that's it for the Fukushima ice wall, and hopefully you've enjoyed this information. And I was going to say, give the video a thumbs up, but you know what? It doesn't even really matter at this point. I mean, it doesn't matter how much truthful information I put out here at Connecting Dots 2, the same old with the silver gold man. I've absolutely stirred up, you know, stirred up a whole lot of emotions here on both the economy and Fukushima, um, dealing with its fraudsters. That's one of the big things I have on the side of my even Connecting Dots 2 YouTube channel, the fraud or disinformation YouTubers. These are all interconnected here. So hopefully this is a good wake up call for many of you. And if you're new to Fukushima, on my Connecting Dots 2 YouTube channel, I highly recommend you check out the Fukushima Day. And if you don't want to watch all the videos, at least watch this Fukushima Day 1205. Okay, please, please. It'll take you 15 minutes, and you'll realize I speak rather quickly in that one. You'll quickly realize I proved that the Food and Drug Administration is lying, not doing the proper testing, not even testing the proper type of fish, lying about the numbers. Please go watch the video, and then you'll understand why we need someone like myself who's going to be buying a gamma spectrometer. That's right, that's what this donation button's all about. We need someone who's going to do buy gamma spectrometer, take their camera out and do live testing so people know they're not being fooled. This is one of the things I've been coming across since I've been doing these Fukushima videos since day one, is that there are so many lies and scams. So I want to continue that live live testing that I've been doing since 2011 here. You can watch Fukushima Day 560, and that's part of it. Some of the clips there are when I drove back and forth across Canada in 2011 doing the Fukushima fallout testing. I bought not one, but two Geiger counters because I know how picky people want. You want the truth. And I figured if I buy a digital and an analog Geiger counter, there'll be no questioning about my data. In fact, I calibrated both of them live. So I showed it for everyone that while I'm leaving here, the West Coast, I'm traveling back and forth, I'm going to chase down storms. Here's my two Geiger counters. Look, they're calibrated. They both give me the same readings, expressed in two different types of readings, microsieverts and REMs. And essentially, on the road I went. And that's what I want to continue doing here at Connecting Dots 2 with the gamma spectrometer, because having someone, and then I'm speaking about beautiful girl by Dana here specifically at this point, having someone live on the West Coast taking their camera and taking pictures of the bottom of or I should say the shoreline of the West Coast, and telling folks that everything is dead does not work for me. Like I said, I live here on the West Coast. I have friends that work in the fishing industry. If the radiation was so strong to such high levels that it's killing off these large whales, then we would not have had the baby boomer in the orca whales. Like I said, go watch the video. You'll soon find out. And this one here at the end, the orca whales, even they had a baby boom. So the camera doesn't work with me. I want live testing. I want real numbers. It's one of the things I've even said, that even with the gamma spectrometer, I'm still going to have to pay $200 out of my pocket to test for strontium 90. Does that mean I'll start doing the strontium 90 test right away? No. And if you want to find out why, it's all about the time. You got to time this thing, folks. So in the Fukushima Day videos, you'll soon find out, if you take your time to go get educated on this. Like I said, this is not for everyone. If you're just a passive person who's not really into getting fully educated, then you're not going to want to pay attention to my stuff. But if you want to get to the bones of it and find out the truth, then this is your chance here. Let me see, where is that video? It's the one with the German study, okay? And it will say strontium 90. Maybe it's at the top here. Okay, yes. Well, it's in that one there, strontium 90 explosion. So anyone in my videos that has a strontium 90 explosion, I have a tendency to always share a link down below to one of my original videos that I made on the strontium-90 explosion, where I share the strontium-90 reaches 500 billion. I shared with you the story out of this strontium-90. The main concerns out of it is because of a German study that they were saying, according to a timeline, as the meltdown continues on, progresses on, that as we move forward, we will have an explosion of strontium-90. And I was hoping I could find the data for you guys. Because I'd like to end the show right now and just finish it off with that link to the strontium-90. And it'll be great for those of you that are just following this right now live. Here we go. There we go. So this is it here. This is in this video. You get to hear how I'm trying to find the exact graph here, folks, for you. I've done so many of these darn studies of these videos, I can't remember which one has the. Here we go, right here. So I guess it's at the end on this one. Oh, I passed that graph. Let me back up a little bit. So essentially, this is out of a German study, and it was a mock meltdown of a Fukushima nuclear plant, and they were talking about, okay, after a core meltdown accident, it cannot be completely ruled out that the melt will reach and partially penetrate the concrete foundation. And let's go on a little further on. That's a timeline, okay? It says that the highest radionuclide concentration is reached by strontium-90 after some 5,000 days. That's why I'm not in a rush right now of strontium-90. These $200 tests that I'll be performing for you folks, actually I can't perform them live. Like I said, I have to get some vegetation on the West Coast or marine life. I have to send it off to a lab. I have to wait probably a week or 2 weeks. They'll send me back a reply and they'll let me know if they find strontium-90. This is going to be an ongoing test. Like I said, we're far away here from the 5,000 day. Now, after the 5,000 day, you may notice here down below it says the strontium-90 would stay near zero for the first 1,000 days. That's why I've been making these videos. You'll notice that around 1,080 or 1,000 days 60 or something like that is where I picked up the strontium-90. Okay, and then after that, which levels spiked dramatically and appeared to remain elevated for the next 50,000 or so days. That's why I said my goal is a long-term goal for raising the gamma spectrometer and doing strontium-90. I'm the only person on YouTube who speaks about this specific threat, who speaks about the German mock meltdown and what's taking place. At one point, Woods Hole Institute spoke about it, but then I pointed out how they were even defrauding people. They were charging people, what was it, $600, I think it was, to, you go watch my videos on that one. I debunked that one. They were charging $600 for you to send in I think it was a liter of ocean water to have it tested. And I shared in my video, I say, hey folks, forget about the $600 kit. Here's a company right here, Independent One. You can have it done for half price. Half price. So yeah, Woods Hole was not out there to help people for free. It was out there to get you to fund their bullshit here. So hopefully you folks have woken up to that one. So like I said, my biggest concern is a strontium-90. It's a long-term goal of mine. It's not something I can deal with. That I'm running out to go deal with right away, because I know that even if I did find strontium-90, the levels would be absolutely so low right now. It'll be, you folks wouldn't even pay attention. So it's a plan in the future. All right, so that's it for the Fukushima ice wall, and see you later on this week, as I'll be back probably Monday Wednesday and Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Mountain time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Take care, folks. Have a great weekend.